You are now listening to the most electrified and vilified podcast on the net, Hot Topics Podcast. Let's get this party started. Welcome everyone to the Hot Topics Podcast. We have a special episode today. We're going to focus on the kids. So I have two special guests, actually three special guests. So I have two special co-hosts and an extra guest. So we have here.
Hi, I'm Sunny or
Sunny?
Sun.
Sun. Mm-hmm. And
I'm Davoon. Yeah.
You're who?
Davoon.
Davoon. Davoon?
Davoon, yeah.
Davoon, okay.
D-E-V-O-O-N.
And we have, who else we have here calling in?
Hi, I'm Sue.
Sue, okay. Now it's going to be hard for me to remember this, but you said Sunny?
Sunny or Saplush, but Sunny.
Sunny,
Davoon.
Davoon, and Sue.
Soup.
Oh, Soup?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
S-O-U-P?
T-S.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, okay. So thank you all for coming. Today we're going to actually have a discussion in reference to schools, and you guys are high school students, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to talk about the violence that's been prevalent. That's my perception within the school systems, and that includes grammar school, middle school, high school, college. Okay, so I'm gonna have some discussion questions as well, and I'll call on you. That way, we don't have to talk over each other. And again, I want to thank you guys for coming in today. So first things first. What grade are you guys in?
11.
11. Okay.
11 too.
11. All three of you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 11th graders. Okay. Soon to be new taxpayers.
Oh,
Okay. So my first question, I'm going to start it off with this. What is your perception of violence in schools? Do you think it's too much? Is it just right? Or
Just right.
just right? You think it's just right?
No, I just find that funny how you say it.
Oh,
just
just-
right. The
Meaning,
best.
okay, so
The perfect amount of violence.
so meaning no complaints.
Um.
And not just against you, but what you've seen and heard in other schools and as well as your own. So you guys go to a suburban school.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay, so a little bit different than that rough, tough
Right.
inner city, Baltimore City. I gotta fight every day.
Well, I would never know.
Never lived in Baltimore.
So Davoon, what is your perception of the violence in school now? Now violence is different things. It includes, and we'll talk about that later. But what's yours on violence?
So, like, when it comes to physical violence, I would say
Go ahead.
it's not that bad. When it comes to physical violence, I would say it's not that bad when it comes to my school, because they kind of shut it down too quickly. So I would say it's underwhelming. The violence is underwhelming. I would like more.
You would like.
I would
So you're talking about school fights.
yeah, school fights.
A school fight. So
Verbally, that's a different story. I do think that there are a lot of like argumental type
okay.
violence in my school, but
Okay.
not physical.
What about you?
I would say that when it comes to violence in school, I think that it's a lot more quieter than the stereotypical bullying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see anybody verbally attacking each other in my school. I know that things happen outside of the school, but social media, so drama gets pushed outside the bounds of school,
Okay.
but then comes back into the school. I heard of different people who died because of violence near us, but not in our school.
Not in your particular school, but
Mm-hmm.
you hear from other students and other in other schools that it happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How does that affect you guys? Do you ever think about whether it can happen in your school?
I do think about it a little bit, but I'm not personally concerned for myself. I'm
Okay.
more concerned for people who engage in things they shouldn't be engaging in,
Okay.
and that they don't understand just how dangerous those things could be until it really hurts them in the future.
Okay. How about you, Sue?
I mean, personally in my school, I feel like both physical and verbal violence, I think it's a new means of a sort of communication. People overuse it to solve their problems.
Okay.
Honestly, I believe.
Lack of what do you call it? mediation or effective communication
Right.
or
Yeah.
conflict resolution,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
it becomes a means of solution, and it's kind of overused, but
Okay.
in our school again, it's stopped relatively fast. So
Okay. So we're going to talk about the four basic types of violence in schools. We're going to talk about the physical fighting. That's the ones you guys probably see every day. And we're going to talk about the bullying. That's considered violence too. And we're going to talk about school shootings, which is probably the worst. And overall gun violence in crime in schools. Okay. That's the overall. So now, physical fighting. Listen to this. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, about 20% of students reported being involved in physical fights at school at least once in the past year. So that's based on data from 2018. But this is a broad statistic, includes minor fights, and not all of them were violent in the sense of causing serious harm. So they're saying, all right, if it's a minor, nobody got any serious harm, is not a, violence. That's violent. Any you get slapped, that's violence,
Right.
because that can, alter how people think. So let me ask you a question, Sue.
Mhm.
Have you ever gotten to a physical fight in school?
physical fight?
Yes.
I don't think so.
You sound confused.
Never? Not in like kindergarten through 11th grade?
No, I mean, unless it's like, cause me, I'm gonna be serious. Like me and my sister, we used to go to school together. So if you mean like that, but that was more familial, never with like outside like eyes or
Okay.
other people.
I got you. How about you two?
Never. I've been close to a fight, but that was all the way back in middle school. I've never
Middle
been
school.
in like a fight. Mostly because I think that it's easy to resolve things by just talking.
Okay. I agree. What about you?
I also like have never gone into a fight, but also like there's a reason behind that. I don't want to tarnish my record. Like colleges would look at that.
Okay.
So I'm like, why get into a fight that's gonna hurt me more? Even if I win the fight, it's gonna hurt me more. So
That's
rather stay out
important. So most people
Yeah.
don't think about the consequences before they get into it, and especially when it comes to colleges, they look at a lot of things, your activities, your grades, the classes that you're in, and how your behavior is. Actually, in attendance as well.
right.
So most people don't realize that. So here's a statistics on bullying. Now, everybody knows what bullying is. I don't have to explain that, right?
Yeah.
So they say bullying. Now, back in my day,
Back in my day.
bullying was kind of like accepted. It was like the norm. Somebody got bullied. It wasn't made a big deal until later on when people started shooting up schools and doing, just different heinous crimes that they went back to say, oh, that person was bullied. Maybe we had to put a little bit more attention on this, right? So they said it's still a widespread issue. And that same report says 15% of students aged 12 to 18 experience bullying at school. Now, I think that's pretty low. I don't think that's accurate. What do you think? Do you think out of 100 students, now I don't know how many kids you got in your school, let's say 1,000. So out of 1,000 kids, only 180 get bullied?
No, I think
I'm gonna
there's
be so
much
honest.
bigger.
I feel like it's so unrealistic. Like I feel like everyone has gotten bullied at least once in their lives.
Yeah.
You're lying if you say you haven't got bullied. So
Yeah.
that's that statistic. When was it? 2018.
That's from 2018.
Yeah.
And,
I can tell.
and the earlier you get, it was probably more bullying, more
Right.
accepted until they got serious as the time goes by.
Yeah, a lot of things get
I think they're
go
like-
unreported.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're like when they classify bullying, I think they're only talking about like the serious bullying and not like the like small little jabs that could affect someone like as they grow up and develop. Because I think any amount of bullying is still bad because like it's gonna affect someone's development
Well,
when they get older.
They
so.
say, and like I said, I do think most of these are unreported. They said it includes verbal and social forms of aggression. So, I mean, and I think
Yeah.
if you can't go through school without experiencing some of that at some point, whether it be from your classmates, your teammates,
Right.
something, even
Yeah.
from teachers,
Oh yeah.
right?
I agree.
Right. So, Sue, what's your opinion on bullying? Do you think 15% is low or high or just right?
I think it's too low because there's definitely even now bullying still is going on like in the shadows. So I mean, 15% is definitely inaccurate.
Now, did you ever take a survey about bullying?
Every day.
Every
Not
day?
every day, but
Yeah.
like
Okay, yes.
So
Like,
they've had
often.
surveys on
Yeah.
whether you
Anonymous surveys.
or anonymous surveys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess maybe kids they don't see it as bullying by definition.
Yeah, they don't
maybe.
see it as bullying, but I feel like if it was me, I'd say that 100% of people get bullied. Like
Yeah.
it's not, and it's just like in different ways.
At some point in their school career.
I feel like you would have to be like the coolest kid in the world to not
Not
even
get
like.
bullied.
No, and even then they'd get picked on for being too.
You'd
cool.
have to be rich, but you still get picked on for being rich. So I
Yeah,
don't.
so-
I don't. Okay.
That's y'all new schoolers. Nobody got picked on for being rich.
No,
People
like,
got picked
you
on
get
like
picked
oh
on
my,
for being rich and like talking about it. Like if
Oh,
you're,
okay,
if
for
you're
being-
like,
for being
oh yeah,
bragging.
right.
yeah, like out of date, like oh my,
or like not
you
knowing
don't know what
that
you're talking-
you're bragging. Like oh
Okay.
my god, look what I got today. Like oh yeah, that's because you're rich. Like like
okay.
and they would pick on you because like you keep on talking about it.
You get picked on
Or
for
being
anything.
rich and not knowing you're rich. Like I'm not rich, I'm wealthy.
So, all right, I got a question for you. Do you think that school shootings are rare, or, well, I don't know the word, or happening too much? No, any shooting is happening too much. Do you think that they're rare or they're happening often? Or
They're-
what's the frequency? Do you think?
They're not rare, but they're also not common. Like they're
Okay.
they're in like that middle, like uncommon, but they are very it's a genuine fear because it's very easy to get a gun and it's very easy for anybody to do it. So I don't think they're like, it's not like it's happening every single day, but then there's also the small shootings that aren't like it's not like the big, like, what's it called? What was it? Columbine?
Mass
Like, it
shootings
wasn't-
like Columbine.
Yeah, it's not Columbine, but like there's like small shootings that happen like right outside, like next to the school, like or in the school's premises. There are shootings that happen because of school. Like
Okay.
and then there's of course like the bigger ones where like lockdown and people are like getting shot up inside the school.
Do you know what's considered a mass shooting?
Like is it 3 or more?
4.
Four more. Okay. And they say in this country, the good old USA, that there's almost another like a mass shooting daily
Oh, yeah.
in
that
in
makes
this
sense.
country.
Yeah.
So,
I want to say one thing though, like to say that school shootings happen like a lot, or like that it's common, is kind of like saying airplane crashes are extremely common. You know, like
so more is perception.
right,
We
like
think it's because it's so
it's
heinous.
what's shown.
Okay.
but like there's like on the news when as soon as an airplane crashes, it's gonna be shown, right? So like as soon as there's gonna be a school shooting, it's going to be shown. So if you take into account what we see in the news versus like how many schools there are in the U.S. and how many schools that aren't getting shot up every day, it kind of puts into perspective. Like, hey, it's not every day, but I think it's becoming too much of an issue to where it's like it's happening. It shouldn't be happening, and it wasn't happening this much back then. But to say it's common, I wouldn't say that. Like
Okay.
it's a fear, but it's not
Yeah, I
common.
think it's like in the in between.
in
right.
between. So, what? How far back can you recall ever hearing about a school shooting?
I don't remember the name of the school, but I definitely, I mean, are you talking about like an actual one that happened or just a concept?
No, actual one that happened.
I can't remember. I remember when they were in like elementary school, so we were talking about it, and that's what led to a drill so that everybody knows what to do.
All right, so elementary school. Let's see. That was a couple weeks ago. What is that?
Okay.
So in the 90s. Wait, you weren't born in the 90s.
I was not born in
wait.
the 90s.
Let me
It's
recalibrate.
official. I'm like a super senior. I just failed all my classes. That's why I'm in 11th grade.
So the first noticeable school shooting happened in the 90s.
Was that college?
So it was at a college. Actually, no. If you go back to Kent State, that's in college. They had the shooter from the roof and all that other type of stuff.
Sniper.
Yeah,
They had a whole sniper.
yeah. If you get a chance, look up Kent State.
Yeah.
Kent State shooting. They actually had a couple of them, like that was decades apart, but started in basically became prevalent in the before 2000s. Then you had Columbine High School happen in 1999. So that's not that. Well, I guess it's for you guys it's that long ago, but not for me. Then you had Virginia Tech in 2007, right? Sandy Hook 2012. So let me know when I'm getting into your school age, when you was in school.
Yeah,
was in
that's
school.
still like preschool or not even in school.
So really,
Yeah.
Because we were born in 2008, so
Yeah.
okay. So Douglas High School in where was that at? Parkland, Florida. That was killing 17 students and staff.
Dang. Wait, what time was that?
That was 2018.
2018.
that's like
That could no, it
fourth
really could have
grade.
been. Yeah, that really could have
fourth
been
grade, fifth grade.
the one that like started. Okay, guys, let's start. Let's do another drill in case you don't.
Yeah.
Even though those are so stupid.
So now you got Santa Fe High School 2018 when they guy come and killed 10 people, injuring 13. You had the let's see, what does it say? According to the Center for Homeland Defense and Security, there were 300 plus school shootings in the U.S. between 2013 and 2018 alone. So in 5 years, 300 plus. So that's about what?
And that's like mass shootings.
60?
Those
No,
are
just
mass?
shootings.
In general.
That's 60 a year.
That is
Dang.
crazy.
That's
five
too much.
five a month. Actually, it's more than that because you're not in school during the summertime.
Right.
So that's quite a bit.
Yeah, and
When you put it, when you look at it that way.
a lot of that was probably like inspiration killing. Like, oh, I saw this person do it, so it's time for me to do it. The next one.
That can happen. So
I do wonder the cause, like what's causing like school shootings to at least happen or become like way more.
that's a good question. Let's get into that. Okay. So they said some of the contributing factors, like with what's your name?
Sunny.
Sunny. First of all, before we get Sunny, you guys, you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and tell us about your YouTube channel.
So I don't really post much on my YouTube channel, but I do have a Twitter. It's called Suplush, but I also have a channel. Also
You know you're gonna have to
Suplush.
spell that, right?
Oh yes, I definitely will. So it's SUPLOSH.
Okay.
So if you want to check that out, maybe one day I'll actually animate something. Maybe I'll actually put something on there. I actually have something I'm making right now.
So on your YouTube channel, you animate stuff, or you're into the animation
like
thing?
art, animation. You know, when I actually do it, but it's right now. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Okay.
I have like a D&D animation coming out, but
D&D is Dungeons and Dragons.
I want to like just like for our campaign. Okay. So yeah, it's like an art related one. But if you want to see like me active, I'm on Twitter, same name, Suplush, SUPLOSH.
You guys ever think about getting a name that people could remember or even spell?
See, that's the fun in it, you know.
Exactly.
The fun in it.
Like what a guessing game, you know what I'm saying? Like
Sue, do you have a YouTube channel or?
I do.
Okay.
Funnily enough, yeah. It's literally soup, but the soup is spelled TSUP.
TSUP. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the
On
T is
YouTube.
silence.
Okay.
Yeah, on YouTube.
And what is your YouTube channel about?
Mostly horror games.
Okay.
I think baboons in some of them, but you know.
So
think?
can I assume that you guys are gamers?
Yeah.
All three of you
I
gamers.
don't think I even really play games like that anymore, like I used to.
But you're the person behind. You want to make the games.
Oh, that would be fun. Oh, I would love to do that. I like storytelling mostly. So
Okay.
I will say one thing though. If you guys do want to find me, actually go to literally Soup's channel because I am linked under her description most of the time, or
Okay.
not description, but like in her channel. So like, shout out her.
But you don't have a channel yourself.
I have a channel. It's just nothing's posted.
Why?
because you never edit anything, you never feel like editing.
I have videos made. I just didn't edit it. Okay.
Since last year.
Okay. So
It's coming out.
now going back to what you said, the contributing factors to school shootings, one, access to firearms. That's huge. You can't have a school shooting if you don't have access to firearms. So obviously, in this country, everybody has a weapon. It seems like, and everybody thinks that everybody should have weapons. So it says one of the most significant contributors to school shootings is the widespread availability of firearms in the U.S. Many of the incidents are perpetrated by individuals who have actually legally or illegal obtained guns, including the AR-15 style rifles. So it's not always illegally obtaining it. You know, somebody might have one at home and they took it from a legally owned firearm in the house, or if they bought it on the street, that's illegal. So both ways.
And wait, what's the legal age where you can get a gun?
21.
21.
My
okay.
question
Yes.
is,
To get a handgun is 21. To get a rifle or shotgun it was 18, unless you can do hunting at an early age.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like. A lot of school shooters, if a lot of them tend to be like in the 18 range usually. So like they like not first thing, but like they could purchase a gun. Like the moment, a lot of them tends to be seniors, so they can easily purchase a gun too. And most times they don't do like enough background checking.
Well, you still be able to go to Walmart and just go get a shotgun and ammo right off the
Not in
sporting
this
goods.
state. Not in this state.
In a lot of states. I remember when I was in South Carolina, and this was back in the early 90s.
old.
Yeah. You could get, I bought a gun from a gun store, or it might have been a pawn shop or whatever. No background check, no nothing. Just, hey, this is my ID. Let me have that gun, the handgun. But I also noticed on the walls there was a Tech 9. That's one of them type.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you could just buy
You
that.
just buy it right off the shelf.
that's
No
sweet.
age, like coming like a 10-year-old. Hey, can I get that?
It was very, very lax. So now, which brings me, what was another contributing factor, do you think? Vadoom.
Okay.
Van Doom, Van.
Before I answer that, I do have a question.
Yes.
What would stop someone from I guess back in your day where you guys can just buy any gun you want? What stopped people from just shooting at people? Because they had that access.
None.
So, right, but it was less of a thing back then, and now it's like I would
So,
assume it's the adrenaline.
Let me
I feel
tell you,
like it has to be.
and back in my day, and I'm gonna say when I was in high school during the 80s, now you would see some movies like was that East Side High? No, with Joe Clark.
I don't know who
watch
you're
enough
talking
movies.
about.
All right,
I
so
don't watch
basically at that time the violence was getting really, really bad. So they started putting metal detectors and closing doors and locking doors and all that other type stuff. But I think back then it was the fear of consequences for the most part that people had. It happened, but this next thing I'm gonna allude to, when you don't have a fear of consequences. To answer your question, there's nothing really to stop you except for not having access to the weapon, right? So
you think that this generation is not afraid of punishment?
this generation is not afraid of, or they don't think of consequences because things have gotten easier for them. Less restrictions, less punishment. They basically don't even tap you on the hand anymore.
I mean, if you shoot up
That just
somebody,
made
I
me
promise.
think-
That's a little bit different, but back in that day, if you was a certain age, you could still get charged as an adult. If you was like 14,
I think that's
It
like that
still
in
happens,
Maryland
but
though
it just
too.
depends on.
Maryland is 16, and they're trying to. There's some people that's trying to make it 25.
25.
Yeah, it's crazy because they say
25?
that you're not mentally developed yet to.
Those
blah,
people
blah.
just want to do crime.
Yeah, those people just want to commit crimes
Tell
as
me you
quickly
want to
as
do crime without
possible.
telling me you
Yeah,
want to
that's
do
crazy.
crime.
Like I know that even 18-year-olds, 18, 19, their brains aren't that as developed as a grown adult, but you have.
But you knew right or wrong back when
Yeah,
you was
you know right
Hot
and
take,
wrong.
6.
There needs to be two level of adulthood, right? There's 18 and 21. I think there should be 2 levels and not just one.
I think, but at the same time, I think you should be charged as an adult by I feel like you're honestly, depending on the crime, you're capable of being charged at least 12 and 13. You should
feel
that
like
should be
18.
guaranteed.
I feel like
Guaranteed. Sorry, guaranteed. If you commit a crazy crime, if you
Okay.
commit a really
Okay,
crazy
I was about
crime,
to say you
something
steal from a
extremely
candy shop,
violent,
let's
extremely
get her.
violent.
Murder.
Yeah.
Something- okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's already a thing.
Yeah,
That's
but
already in
I'm
place.
saying some people don't even think that should happen.
Right.
So-
There's people that don't think that should happen.
If a 13-year-old milliwatts me and kills me, I want them dead.
God.
Not dead, but in jail.
So it depends on where you are and how the advocacy groups decide to push the politicians and the changing the laws or whatever. But what about mental health?
I think that plays a big part in it. Also, I feel like I don't know why, because I feel like we're more we listen to people when it comes to mental health. We're more aware of its existence. but it feels like mental health got worse in this, like towards these generations. I
Do you think they got worse, or do you think that people are just now
realizing
diagnosing more
Yeah.
things? Because back when I
Back
was
in
in
your
school,
day.
back in my day, we didn't have the ADHD, we didn't have the this and that, we didn't have the bipolar.
so I would just be called stupid.
Yeah. so you had it was basically you was slow, retarded,
So I would probably been called those.
or crazy. That's what it was. This is how it was. But now people are they're diagnosing these things. They're not gonna chastise a kid, and they're trying to find out what is the cause of things and see if they can get help. Back then it was like, oh, put them in a slow class.
That's so crazy.
Give them some blocks to play
I would
with.
have been
Blocks.
wait. So
You give it a
I would have
15-year-old blocks just cause
like give
You're
them
like,
a little bottle.
can't
No,
pay
I would have been on the short bus. I realize that now.
yeah, you would have been sitting right next to everybody else.
Would have been sitting right next to Pinkie Pie. Yeah. I think that's a good question because it's like mental health, but at the same time, mental health is being treated now, but opposed to before. So like, I want to know the correlation. Like, is it because people with mental illnesses are getting more acknowledged? Maybe like they feel like, okay, I'll have a lesser punishment because I'm diagnosed with XYZ. You know what
Could
I'm saying?
be.
But not
I
all
could
of
see
them.
that.
I'm not
Right,
all
yeah,
of
I'm
them.
not saying, but it could be.
Like I feel mixed about the whole mental health because like I feel like almost everybody has mental health issues in some. Like I feel like it's almost impossible for somebody to like go through
Not
their
me.
entire go their entire life and not struggle with one mental health issue.
Okay.
And I know that there's like some mental health issues that are harder to like handle than others.
Right.
But I feel like if your mental illness leads to you like straight up killing somebody, committing like mass murders, there's like an in between where I think you shouldn't be treated the same way as somebody who's not completely, but like sane.
Right.
Because a sane person has a lot more control over their actions. They knew everything, they knew the consequences, they did it. But let's say it's a sociopath. Okay. A sociopath who can't really feel the same like array of human empathy or sympathy.
Like the Joker.
I don't watch these things, but I know he's crazy. But like aren't able to have that same like right and wrong moral compass.
So according to the courts, though, say if a person is deemed that they have mental issues or whatever, they would say they are not mentally responsible. Yeah. So they wouldn't be charged criminally, but they would put them in
You
a
were physically responsible when we did it.
but,
So
but what they'll do is they'll just say, okay, well, it wouldn't be fair to put this person through the court system when they don't even understand what they did totally, but we're going to put them in a place for the the criminally insane. So they do have that part for those type of people.
But what also sucks is that those places tend to suck even worse than prison sometimes.
which is what I was gonna say. Like, hot take, do that for probably most people. Like, I don't get why someone has to be mentally ill for you to treat them like crap. Like, I mean, sorry, someone has to be mentally ill for you to treat them well while you treat everyone else like crap.
But even then, they're not
Like,
really being treated well either. They're not
Not
being
well,
treated, like,
but
properly.
like for
Getting the attention they need.
right, some
Okay.
attention that they need. If someone who wasn't mentally ill like kills someone just because they're kind of mentally ill, like think about it. Well, they're not mentally sound, even if they can like kind of acknowledge, like, people who do crime in general, like, get them help. Don't just put them in a place confined and be like, okay, you're off.
Yeah,
Because
that's like a whole thing with the American like prison system. That's a whole other issue. I do think it should be more like on the rehabilitation side. Just because I feel like we kind of are very like revenge. Like, oh yeah, you did that, so you deserve to suffer in prison with other prisoners who might be worse than you, and you just become a worse person. And your life is ruined.
Let me ask you a real quick question since you mentioned that. Do you think do you think prison should be punishment or rehabilitation?
Rehabilitation.
Both. You say both, and you say
I think both, but I think it should lean on rehabilitation.
lean on
Right.
But what do you think, Sue?
What I think? Honestly, kind of both.
Okay. So, and some of the wisdom behind that is that, you can punish somebody, but you still have to rehabilitate them because they're going to be punished, but they're going to be released one day. And is, they say going to prison is like criminal university. So when you release somebody back into the population, you got to give them some tools that they can, handle themselves without having to get put right back in jail.
And that's what I think also I feel like the prison system is really bad at. Like when it comes to putting people back into society, there's a lot of people who don't know how to. Like, okay, this might be like a weird comparison, but like the military and prison, when it comes to putting people back into society, is very similar. Where people just can't, when it comes to like not being able to function or having
the
trouble.
military and prison.
No, I'm talking like putting them back into society and how it's hard for people to adjust.
No, you'd be surprised if you go into the military. Let me tell you about the military. The military is a microcosm of society. There's every job that you have here out in the public is there in the military, and I think the military actually equips you better than most people out here in society. But that's for somebody who knows from the inside. On the outside, people think it's going to be something really rigorous and restrictive. No, it was actually way more loose.
But to be fair, you're also, that depends on the branch.
Yeah, it also depends on the branch too.
Well, no, we all intermingle too. So obviously the Navy was light.
Yeah, like some people get blown up.
Some people watch people die.
All of them, you get that in all of them. So the thing is, it depends on what things you go through. But I'm talking about just non-war time. In the military, it's probably a great experience for anybody. But we're getting off subject. But you said, all three of you said it should be punishment and rehabilitation. Okay, I like that. Now, here's something different on mental health. It says, while mental health illness is often cited in discussions about school shooters, experts stress that most people with mental health issues do not engage in violent behavior. However, a lack of adequate mental health support for students has been identified as a contributing factor. So that means if you have somebody in your schools that is one of those people that can set off and they're not getting the services that they need. It's like, in your school, they have the files kids, right? They were the most fun kids, because they were just happy-go-lucky and they were funny. But if you have somebody who is not a files kid, but have some psychological trauma, like you said, what do you call them, a sociopath, and they've been diagnosed or undiagnosed, but they're not getting the attention they need. That's the person that will go off and like, oh, they didn't let me buy ice cream today. I'm gonna go shoot the teacher.
I feel like it's also like, you don't know what's going on in people's head, but I feel like it could be a buildup.
Yes.
Well, could be. Well, 9 times out of 10, it's a buildup for something. And it's just like, how do you not notice that? How did the parents not notice what's going on with kids?
Easy. I used to do a presentation on active shooter. I showed them this video, and everybody in the video, everybody who watched the video, we go through the whole thing. You would believe all the clues, because at the end, they show them the person's a school shooter or whatever. But at the end, it goes back and highlights all the different spots that we missed. Now, mind you could watch this movie 2 or 3 times and still miss all the obvious clues that said this person might or could be a possible school shooter.
I do think it's a little bit different when it's like parents, though, because parents, they tend to see things that are in like internal in the house that other people can't see.
True, but parents, you actually spend more time at school with teachers than you do with parents. Even when you're home, where are you?
In my room.
Where are you?
Anywhere, everywhere, like I'm literally like, what are you, like downstairs, upstairs, in the basement. Like,
right.
I don't.
But Sue, are you hanging around your parents when you're home?
When she's home, I'm home. So I guess we hang out, but not often.
But the time is limited, right?
Yeah.
In school, you're more apt to be who you are versus being at home with your parents who can criticize you, can correct you, can, keep you in line. When you're at school, everybody just lose their mind, right? So it should be
regular.
but it should be. Those are the times where you really need to actually take notice is in school, because people are writing, they're communicating, they're getting bullied, all this different violence, stuff like that. So I can see that happening too, But and you guys are going to be able to relate to this one about the other contributing factor because you mentioned it earlier. What do you think that is?
Social media.
Social media.
I
That's
agree.
right.
I
So some school shooters have been inspired by previous mass shootings or have used social media to express violent ideology. This has raised concerns about the role of online platforms in facilitating and even encouraging violence. Now, what social media platforms is most popular with your generation right now?
My generation.
TikTok, definitely.
TikTok,
Instagram.
Instagram.
YouTube, and Twitter's kind of dying, but relatively Twitter.
I really want to say, Snapchat. I don't use
Snapchat?
Snapchat.
Ain't nobody use Snapchat.
A lot of surprising,
millennials.
a lot of
millennials.
British people, they use it like
Okay,
crazy.
well, British people are not real people.
All right. So in these social media platforms, how many times have you heard when you've had arguments or fights or whatever that it stemmed from being on social media? Social media beefs.
Almost all of them that I know of that I know happen. It's like, oh, this person on their story. I saw it on their story. They were disrespecting me on my story, or even if not on social, like they're on a group call and like, by the way, did you know that this person over here was talking about you? Like, I saw this, and they're like all on Discord. Like, yeah, I saw that. Like, you should definitely say something about it tomorrow. Like,
All right. What is Discord?
Discord. Oh, that's
that
actually it's more like a calling. It's like
messaging.
So was it a group chat thing?
It's
Yeah.
It's like like you can like DM people, put servers and group chats.
You could find communities too of people you don't know.
Okay, so it's all like the old AOL chat groups back in the day.
Yeah, it's
Back
like
in your
it's
day,
like
right.
a more like recent version. Of it,
Okay,
not
okay.
recent. It's
Why do
been
they
a
call
while.
it discourse?
Discord?
Discord. Why do they call it that?
I didn't name it. So
Yeah,
I
I didn't
Yeah,
name it. Maybe they already knew. Like the moment they made it, like yeah, this is about to be the one, and it's just gonna cause so many problems.
So, do you think that maybe they knew that and they put that together to knowing that kids are going to get into that type of trouble, and it was going to be a popular platform?
I think they knew. I don't think they knew anything, but I do think that there's probably a thought like, you know how like conversations are like when they like have like all these different things, all these different topics, all this stuff. And there's also so many different communities. That's like Discord. It's just like there's all this different stuff that's happening. That's my guess. Like, oh, we're make this space where there's so many different people, so many different communities. It's not really organized, but you can find your own like spot. That's what I think that they made Discord, but why they named it that way. Or they thought the name was cool.
I think there's always going to be an issue with any like online.
Yeah, as long as you're online,
place.
there's always going to be a problem.
Okay.
But when it comes to like social media, I feel like the widespread of information and also like crazy people getting ideas from social media
And YouTube. Well, I
And
guess
YouTube.
that's social media too, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
like the
With-
true crime videos.
Oh no, you can go to YouTube and just like say slap such and such, or put a keyword in there, and you can see all the school fights. You can see all the neighborhood fights.
Or Twitter.
Twitter.
It's really bad. A lot of gore.
Twitter.
A lot of
is
gore on
just-
Twitter.
Twitter
It's-
is just
So I don't.
obsessive.
I'm not on. I actually got banned off of Twitter.
How did you do?
what
What did you do?
I have no idea. Only thing I could think
Too
of
liberal.
is I criticize
Elon Musk.
So, yeah, they banned me off of
that's what I
Twitter.
said. If you're too like, if you're openly democratic, you're gone.
Well, I that's the only thing because usually I just repost what other people nothing crazy, but then said your account was suspended, and I inquired why. It was like, don't worry about it, basically. In other words,
Elon
don't
saw
worry
that
about
and
it.
started crying. He was like, "You gotta
So
go."
I was going to boycott Twitter anyway but
Because
they
you
kicked
had
me
no
off.
choice, you
They
got
kicked me off
banned.
first. All right. Now I have some questions, and this is basically more solution based, right? So, what role should schools play in ensuring student safety, and how much responsibility should lie with law enforcement or parents? So we're gonna go with Sue first. Do you hear that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like with schools, especially comparing them from like back then to now, there's definitely a lack of like connection since like going back to like the whole mental health stuff. Basically, if you found out that you had something, or if someone else found out that you had something you weren't like, right in the head or whatever, they just throw you into asylums, you're done. But now
Wait. You said throw you into the what?
Silence.
asylum.
Okay.
Asylum
Right.
was like 2014 was the last asylum closing, so no more asylums in 2014. But now that since that's so recent, I feel like there's a loss of connection between what to do with people that aren't mentally well, other than just treating them like they're lower than us in terms of intelligence and stuff. And there's definitely another disconnection where if you're stressed or if you have issues, where to go to get them talked about, to get them fixed and stuff. Because, going to a therapist, sitting there for an hour talking to a person, I don't really think that's going to do much for you
So
in terms of long term.
so as far as that goes, who should play that role? Who's the one that should initiate that? Should it be the school, the police, or parents?
I feel like there's only so much that schools can do. So I definitely think parents should definitely push the idea of getting help because if they're not going to do it for because kids are young, they don't really know what to do with certain stuff types of stuff. So parents being the authority figures should push the idea, hey, you're not this, you should probably do, like
Okay.
I feel like if the police get involved, it would apply pressure, but I also feel like that can be dangerous because I feel like because there's already a bunch of stigmas and misconceptions. If something was to go wrong or something, like you might get held for such a long time or someone might get hurt because the police gets too involved, because the whole police's job is more to enforce, and if there was laws like that could it could potentially hurt kids. So I don't think that's a good idea, but I feel like enforcement it does also make it so that a parent can't just completely ignore a problem just because it inconveniences them.
But that's a good point you made, because the new trend, I'll say new within the last few years, is actually to have police not respond to those incidents where somebody's in crisis, and sometimes they'll have the police partnered up with we call it
Like a helpline?
like a professional that actually handle those. So that's what you just said, because things were happening. A police officer will go to somebody who's in crisis. Next thing you know, they do something off the wall and bang, bang.
Yeah, like
right?
You're kind of like just helping them, like they were going to do that anyways.
Well,
Thanks.
people were starting to say that, and that's where the whole defund the police thing came from. They was like, take some of that funding from the police and send it over to social services or behavioral health to get these people the help that they needed, instead of having the police go trying to handle everything. Because police are not going to they're not going to sit there and talk to you for 20 back in the day they did, and for 20 minutes like, I need you to come out of the house and you don't come now, I'm gonna come get you. Where now it's like, let's talk about this.
Hot take. I think I like you to take funding out of the police system. I think it should be taken out a little bit, just a teeny bit out of the military instead, because I feel like the U.S. spends a lot of money on the military.
Too much money on the
I feel like we don't need all that money for the military. Right. We're good.
Yeah.
So take at least a little bit out and give it to people who actually need it. Spend it on things that are necessities.
So, what you're saying is, now the military is a federal budget, where the local schools and state governments,
I'm talking about for Social Security,
for help.
Yeah.
So take some of that on the federal level. Take some of that federal money that's spent for military and shift it over to Department of Human Services that can get people help.
Right.
And then it filters down from the state to the counties to
they have
cities.
enough money to do
we already
that.
got
we have the
two,
money.
we have nukes, bro. Ain't nobody touching us
Right.
for a bit.
Also,
But sometimes $1 trillion a year is not enough.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I had to look at you what do you mean by that?
All right, so I got now. Let me ask you a question. This is more on school safety and security too. Do security measures like metal detectors, armed officers, whether it be police or security, and surveillance cameras create a safer school environment? Or
No.
Kind of.
No.
Okay, I don't think so. I think it would make me uncomfortable.
Okay, so
I don't
you're
want
saying
to be in an environment
You're
where
gonna feel like you're being watched. I feel like that'll mess with
Right.
the mental health.
So you're saying they
no, I feel
contribute
like I
to a
have to be
climate
on
of
watch.
fear and distrust.
Right.
Yes.
Versus
if I'm coming in school, right, and I'm getting checked all patted all over, I'm gonna feel uncomfortable because now I'm like, what's going on? Did something happen near me? Did you catch someone with a weapon that that could have been me dead. Like what? Like what's going on?
Not only that, but armed. Like what happens? Like what happens if you have like something? Like
A
you
school
have
shooter?
like not a school shooter, but like I'm talking about like armed police officers. Like they're like they even then they have like the police officers we have like a small pistol like on their thing. But like armed. When I'm thinking armed, I'm thinking like are they like
No, just regular, like a regular.
Oh,
Yeah, like
okay.
armed
like
is
a
just
security
having
okay?
guard.
But even then, like imagine it goes off. A lot of people like act very irrationally when they get stopped by stuff. Like I see like even like a lot of when we were talking about like health class, the first thing that somebody thought of when like we were talking about like a confrontation with the police, you didn't do anything wrong, but like they're running at you. Their first thought was to run away, which is only going to get you hurt. So I feel like
Right.
people are going to like get nervous, get almost aggressive, get mad, and that might lead to somebody getting hurt even if they did nothing wrong.
Now, you've been in school 3 years. No, actually, let's say 6 years from middle school to high school, right?
Yeah.
You've had an armed police officer every year that you've been in school. Anybody get killed in school?
There was never a metal detector though. There was no metal detector.
No, the metal
nobody
detector.
watching
Metal
you.
detector.
Oh,
Oh,
in
there's definitely
school?
somebody watching you.
In
Okay, I mean metal
Wait,
detectors.
like,
Metal detectors.
in the school has anyone died in the school died? No.
has a police
Not inside
officer
the
or
school.
has ever
No.
killed a student?
But this
No.
isn't. But my criticism was less about like armed because I just said
Your criticism was the watching.
let's no because we're even being watched now. Like
Right.
There's
there's
security cameras.
there's
Right.
security cameras that can catch guns if you
Right.
have one. But I'm specifically talking about like
Metal detectors. Okay.
because that causes anxiety. And when
Okay.
you step into a school building and you're getting stopped by the police,
you're already making
and
a
being
safe and uneasy-
like you're
like,
already
not
feeling
a
uneasy, like
safe,
you did
you know?
something
Okay, so
wrong.
like
Uneasy.
more like you're going into a prison.
Like
It's like not a prison,
but you're being
school already
you're being
feels like a
overly
prison in the first
watched.
place.
Overly, okay. Overly,
yeah,
okay.
overly watched. Like it's just like in general, if you came into your work, I'm not sure if you had like a
We-
metal detector. In your,
we
in your
don't.
work office.
There's no point because you have a gun on
you
you.
have a
Like,
gun
it's
on
always
you.
gonna
We
go
don't,
off.
But you know what? It's like that at the courthouse. Whenever you go
But
to
that
any
makes sense.
courthouse,
That makes
It's a
sense though, because
courthouse.
someone might get really
But I'm
angry. Like
saying,
imagine
like-
if like somebody who you think murdered your family sitting right there. You think some people might like just bring in a
the
gun.
same thing
like,
with the police department.
How would you feel if you went to like your
Even then, but you have
your
a gun.
daughter's school and like you walked in and they're like, okay, put whatever you have on you, put it in this tray. We're gonna check it and step through this metal
How would I feel?
detector.
Like
Yes.
you're in the
So like an
airport.
airport.
I listen. You know,
I
that's
already
one of
feel
the things
uneasy
I
in
don't
airports.
like about the airports, that whole process of going through. So I understand that part, but just imagine somebody who works in the courthouse. They do through it every day. You know, I had to go into the courthouse often, so most of the time I didn't have to take anything off because I had guns and stuff like that with me. But I think when you know what can happen, and you want to prepare for it ahead of time, then that's something that's, you know. What do you think, Sue? You think does it create a atmosphere of fear and distrust, or you think it's safer?
I definitely think that it does create an environment of fear and distrust because you're supposed to be able to I feel like not supposed to, but when you go into school, you don't expect to be like chastised on anything, really, when you walk in at least. So having all this, I mean, the cameras is fine. We already have cameras, but the whole metal detectors and being patted down, I feel like I wouldn't want to go to school anymore.
Ah, okay.
Oh yeah, and also
Also,
like,
how are you gonna get inside? Like you're gonna be.
Right.
How many people are gonna be stopped?
we ready
That's
to have
what
to
I'm
like
saying.
stand outside. And also two things. One, I feel like metal detectors are often accompanied by like the clear or mesh backpacks, and I hate those. The privacy I have in those are none.
they do
And it's
such a-
like, what if I have something
you
on
could
me that I
bypass
just
those.
don't feel like sharing out to the world? Like if I had like, I don't know, products, and I'm like, okay, I want this here, but I don't
Hey
want
guys, this one's on her period.
right. But like if I just want that in a compartment and I don't want like it to be like there, I'm
Everybody's seeing your personal stuff.
like I hate that. But like also at the same time, I feel like imagine like there's someone who like does drugs, like you know, like I don't know, marijuana or something.
Here's a question for you though. Now, all
There's
of
a
that
lot.
stuff that you looked at, we talked about the armed security or police officers. We talked about the metal detectors, the transparent bags, and the cameras. Now, what happens if somebody comes in there with a gun and they have the idea that I'm going to shoot and kill as many people as I possibly can, like Columbine? Do you think all those precautions is worth that one time that incident could happen?
I mean, all
No.
they would have to do.
No?
All they would have to do is just not come during the beginning of the day. Just wait it out, and then come later. And by that time, you're kind of already. It's too late. But the moment they walk through that door, the metal detector goes off. So watch, the gun's gonna go off like a second after.
No, but when the metal detector comes, there's a staff person right there.
They might not. The staff might not be ready for it though.
But they should.
They should be
At our
ready
school,
for it,
all
but
the
if you're
staff
not
are
expecting,
lazy.
if someone just calmly walking up, they don't expect anything, and the moment it goes off, then they already take out their gun. Like the
Also,
police
it's
can't
like
act that
a
quickly.
routine thing too. Like, okay, I do this every day.
I don't know, like even
These
then, like
things,
they,
don't
because like a
usually
lot of times they're just
happen.
laying kind of like casual too in our thing because like
right.
nothing's
They're
happening.
nice,
They're
you know,
like
family.
they're like guarding sometimes. Sometimes they're just like sitting down.
Like, I
if
wish
and
they
I've
put
always
yourself
and I've
in
always
those
looked at that and I've seen it and I'm like. Imagine if someone just walked past or went to the other door and they're like on their phone. If someone took out a gun and just took them out.
So
the first,
nothing's going to be foolproof, but when the incident does happen,
It's not gonna work.
what was not going to work? The
I
metal
don't,
detector?
I don't
None of
think
that?
because
Okay.
like if you put yourself in your shoes, right? Like when you were a cop, and it's like, okay, I'm checking these students. You know, nothing usually happens. I've been doing this for like a year, 2 years, 3 years. Same students, and nothing happens. The student's good, whatever.
I'm
You're-
get complacent.
You're not ready for when it pops off to where that person already has it on them, and they're like, boom.
Oh no, we're ready because every time that the students come in, when I had to work in the schools, as soon as they come in the door, I'm just ready to pop one right upside the head.
Okay.
You know, 'cause-
What happens if there's more than one? What happens if
then two of them get popped upside the head.
No, but like I'm saying, like if someone has their gun like locked and loaded, right? Like it's like kind of like they're showing up. It looks like their backpack is on them. Like they have like a pose to make it look more natural.
So let me.
When we come up,
what
I get
happens
it.
if they don't go
Boom,
through the
boom.
front door and they go through the back door and they get let in by another person?
Nothing's going to be foolproof, but just like the inherent dangers of being a police officer, you're always reactionary when it comes to that. Even if you're going up to a car for a traffic stop, by the time you get up to the car, you say, good afternoon, ma'am or sir. I'd like to see your license and registration. And they have a gun sitting in their lap. Guess what? Guess what's going to happen? They can just go point it up. By the time all that happens, I have to look, I have to react, I have to process it in my head, and I got to reach down and go grab mine and move my feet at the same time to get out of the way. So it's always going to be reactionary, but things have a way of working out some sort of way. So,
I
but
just feel
the
like it's
the
like the
consensus
West.
is that
I honestly
you would
think-
rather not have any of that because you'd rather have a comfortable, trusting environment than to have all that.
I just think that
Also-
regardless, even if that was people, just like how there's school shooting drills and the shooters, majority of them, if not all of them, I don't remember if it's all of them, but majority of them were American citizens or lived in America for a long time and they know how the drills work and that when the lights are off, but we know that everyone's home. Like I feel like they'll just bypass it by going a different way, going the opposite way, and letting somebody in. I feel like it's not going to work after a while. They're just going to go. They're just going to like all the times the people like students or other teachers let you in the back door, and especially because there's It's like a lot of times
It happens so often you don't even think nothing of it.
Yeah, you don't, and a lot of times you don't even think, oh, this is a kid that I see all the time. Why would like they're
what was
safe?
going on
Like
this time,
yeah, like why would I not let them in this time? Let's
Okay.
let's let them in, and then it's too late.
I feel like we're too like accustomed to like, how I guess like the functions of school in general. Like when it comes to like, oh yeah, if this happens, then this will be the solution. You know what I'm saying? Like the black and white type stuff.
The rigidness of everything
Right.
is like click, click, click.
And it kind of just like feels like we're animals, but it feels like ants type animals. Like this is so like mindless to where like, guys, let's all sit under tables and be quiet. Shh, they won't understand. Like they won't know we're there. And I feel like that kind of plays a part when it comes to school shootings, because now stuff is like the solution is kind of like played over and over and over again.
So you're
It's
saying
like,
it's,
I could
it's
get
so
away with this.
routine that everybody knows
Right.
the same.
Where it's
Okay.
like, I could get away with this. I can hit the people I want to hit. And also the fact that we're told to stay put and not really encouraged to leave if our house is nearby is also an issue. And also in my school, we have they close the doors. Like they there's like different doors that enter the different hallways. They will close those doors, lock it. You have to go all the way around the school.
I Totally
I
understand.
criticize that
So
all
if
the
somebody-
I
time.
totally understand that.
But the
No,
issue
those
is
doors
right.
can get shot through.
If there was I don't think that they can.
No,
They're
like
metal.
they weren't. No, if it's a good gun, I don't know. I
Maybe.
forget, it was like one of the administrators were talking about it, and they were like, those doors, like those can get shot through if somebody really wanted to. And I feel like the only people that it traps are students, and especially because
Right.
you can go the other way.
And that's the point of it too. But the issue to me
Sometimes
is
it's not always to actually stop, because everything's not going to be
it's
foolproof.
just to
to slow them down to
Yeah.
get to buy the time that's needed. Right.
But
I just
even
think
then,
that
like I
they
feel like
close the doors like to prove a point. I feel like that's a very big issue when it comes to like what if the school shooter pulls up their gun and starts like attacking me or someone else, and we were trying to run away and that door's locked, we're cooked.
And you can go the other way. Like the school
Like-
shooter can go the other way, but you know who can't go the other way? The person who doesn't have a gun and can't protect
Right.
themselves. So
Okay. So, all right. That's funny.
That's funny. It's like I'm getting like shot at.
Now, you guys have drills. Sometimes they're not drills, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel when the school goes into lockdown because something happens, maybe inside or outside?
it's no, it is really
It's so
unserious.
unserious.
Like,
Unserious?
There was
it
people
is-
who were laughing and still continuing their lessons, but like quietly,
like guys,
Really?
yes.
no, there was an actual lock. There was a lock in, like because there was an armed robber, like back at like in our middle school,
Mm-hmm.
and the person's like, guys, why are you guys being so dramatic? Do your work. Flip the page.
So you're saying that it's not affecting you guys mentally?
Not at all.
Because nobody's taking it-
sometimes-
taking it
sometimes
serious.
Everybody goes
Sometimes, like,
quiet
a
for a
little bit.
second to see if
Right.
like, okay,
What
Because like
what
they
if
they,
Is this
they
one
do
real?
the fake let me bang on the door,
Mm-hmm.
you know, rattle it a little bit and move on.
so you guys have become complacent to it?
yeah, because
Yeah.
we also know that it doesn't work. Like realistically, it's
Like,
kind of stupid. To
during
just
the
stay
drill,
in the same
we were
spot.
all like the last drill we had, we were all like literally making fun and go like, bro, if it was a drill, I'm out of this. Like I'm
No,
out. I'm leaving.
like, oh, look at the window right beside me, guys. If this was not a drill, we're all breaking out, right? Like, agreed.
I also think that maybe like school shootings happen more now, probably because of like people know like, yeah, it's probably gonna be a little bit safer for those people. It might be a thing where like people don't like the school shooter doesn't want too many people to die, and that's probably why they're trying to do it. Like wait, hear me out, right? So
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, well, you know,
explain
the
that
school
one.
shooter doesn't want a lot of people to die.
they might be going after certain people.
Oh, targeted.
Right.
Okay.
And probably are shooting to injure, not fully shooting to kill a lot of people, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Shooting the scare, shooting because shooting the scare, shooting to like, I want to do this, you know, compulsion. They get there, they do it, but they're not like actually unless like all the true crap.
Are you saying like they aren't really thinking much about like killing than they are thinking
They're
about?
probably thinking
I
of
think
harm.
when they get to that point, to where they want to come to school and bring a gun and knowing the consequences, I think at that point is that I'm going to take as many people out or that person, and I'm ready to die if I have to.
They might think. I feel like because I can't wrap my head around like someone want to take someone's life.
Because you're sane.
I just I just think like it's more of a I want to cause people pain, but not understanding but not understanding the full like I guess result. Like, hey, you could kill somebody, and I feel like because like in a lot of shootings, it's like people get injured injured really badly, but people don't die.
Okay. All right. So this is we're gonna wrap this up. But how do you think that video games, the violent ones like Grand Theft Auto, video games, movies, social media influence the way students perceive violence and conflict resolution? You think those games and the videos and the movies change anything?
I would say, yeah, I'd say not fully. I think that the internet kind of has opened up to things like real gore and real like problems like that can hurt.
Which I hate gore.
I feel like a sane person can separate fiction from reality.
Okay.
And therefore, even if like oh my god, I can't even say it, but like a joke death.
Okay.
A death that happens like is violent, gory, like, but is meant to be a joke in a film. Like people will laugh at that, people won't laugh at a real life person because there's a separation.
I think people
But
are
if-
becoming too desensitized.
Yeah, people are becoming too desensitized. But
desensitized.
I also don't think that movies and video games really desensitize
I actually don't
us.
think.
So
I don't think
in
it's,
our last episode, we actually talked about are we basically overwhelmed by sex and violence in our society, meaning video games, movies, TV, you name it. So that we actually talked about that. And one of the questions I asked was, are we becoming numb to it? Like, would you see it in real life and feel the same way?
But in the way of like, I don't think it's video games because violent video games have been around since video games have existed. So I don't think it's the video games. I think it's the fact that we're hearing more about violence, we're hearing more about crime, and that's because of the evolution of our technology in general.
Okay, so technology is giving you more access to information,
right? And it's the
graphic
information of stuff that's actually happening. The stuff that's actually happening, that's what's causing us to be desensitized to death. It's not even just death. It's also like rape, like any other sexual assault, any other type of like child abuse.
Violence.
We're getting desensitive. But I think the only time people aren't desensitive, this might be like, switching a little bit, but I just want to say one time people actually aren't desensitive to stuff is when it's desensitized. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Is when it's for animals, when something's not happening to animals.
That's funny because we used to make jokes about that. Some people care, if this person gets shot, this person gets killed, all this stuff happens to a person. And it was like, well, they come up with all types of excuses. Well, they shouldn't have been there, or maybe and they go about their business. But let it happen to a dog.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's go get the signs. Let's go.
Yeah, like because I feel like it's kind of weird. Like, why do people almost treat human, like if you're a human, it's like, oh well, you have the intelligence to be able to like stop that. Like
right.
you should have been in that situation anyways. But if a dog, oh no, the dog is
helpless.
They're helpless. They didn't know anything. They're just a dog, And like, I mean, I feel like you should have empathy for like animals because a lot of times there's a level of truth to that. But like, why aren't you having empathy for like another human being? Like,
I think
what's happening?
What also comes in is like people don't care about other people anymore.
That's a fact. That's the problem with most societies now. So that's our time, and I want to thank you guys for coming out and contributing to this podcast episode.
You're welcome.
Any departing words from you three?
I don't know. Like I said that I got like an art Twitter. Splish SUP LOSH. You can go check it out. I talk a lot about when it comes to talking, I talk a lot about Alien Stage. Y'all should go watch it. Alien Stage.
No.
Come on, you guys gotta watch it. Alien
This is
Stage.
an issue.
And of course I have a lot of art featuring mostly my OCs. So if you want to go check that out,
what?
My OCs or my original characters.
Oh, original characters.
Yes,
okay.
original
OCs.
characters.
You guys got to learn that slang, by the way. OCs and
Yes.
D&Ds and
D&D.
Look, if you want to check that out, you should.
okay.
I would say, guys, like you should. I'm Devon. You should most definitely like go and like follow my Twitch because I'm gonna start.
You said follow your Twitch.
Twitch. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's another one.
I'm
Twitch.
I'm gonna start streaming soon. I go by Not Devon on Twitch.
You go by who?
Not Devon on Twitch.
Not
Devon.
Devon.
So DEVOON.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Twitch. All right. I probably have Twitch. I have everything. I don't know what to do with it, but I have everything.
So okay.
And you, Sue?
I'm also gonna, shameless drop here. Literally Soup, guys. LITERALLYTSUP on YouTube, guys. Yeah, you know what it is.
Why'd you say it like that? Oh, yeah, dude,
Okay.
guys.
So I need a word of the day because what we do is we give a word of the day for each episode, and at the end of the month, our subscribers, when they call in or they text us or email us or whatever, they have the opportunity to win a prize. So we have that for the month. Give me a word of the day
That's interesting.
that we can use for the month of March.
What you think, Sue?
Yeah, what you think, Soup?
Give me toilet, guys.
Oh my God!
no.
Okay. What is one
You
that's
said,
like
say toilet?
no? Wait. Okay.
You know what?
What is one?
Why not? We're a bunch of teenagers. I think we should do Mew.
What?
No, we're not doing that. We gotta be
Wait,
serious.
we're gonna-
what
we're
about Twitter?
We gotta
What
be
about
serious.
Twitter?
School.
We're gonna go with toilet because that was the first word to get out to the.
Okay.
This episode's word of the day is toilet.
Okay.
So for you guys who are not very academically inclined, you can sound it out. So you have to be able to spell it. So thank you guys for joining us again, and please come back for another episode, and we'll welcome you here.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, family, for listening to the latest episode of Hot Topics. As usual, listen, like, share, subscribe. Ta.